Hey there, it's J-Rod for Rich Retirement TV with Zach Scheidt. And man, do we have another great topic here to tackle. What do you think about share buybacks? There's been some news recently that they're starting up again
Yeah.
after a moratorium. What's your take?
So real quick to explain what share buybacks are and why they're important to us as investors. You know, companies generate profits and they have cash on their balance sheet. That's just cash that they have in the bank. And a lot of times companies will use that cash to actually buy shares of stock. Now, how does that affect the overall business and how does that affect us as investors? Well, remember, when you buy shares of stock, you're buying a small percentage of that company. So let's just take an example where there's a company that has 100 shares outstanding. If you buy one share, you own 1% of the company. You buy 10 shares, you own 10% of that company. Now, the company could use its shares to buy back, let's say they buy back 20 of those shares. So now there's only 80 shares outstanding. So if I own one share, I own a lot more than just 1% of the company. Now I own maybe 1.4. And so what a share buyback does is it just leaves fewer shares available for investors, which means that your profits per share are higher. So that's kind of how it works and why investors love share buybacks. Now, the question is, are share buybacks good or are they bad? Are they helpful or are they not? And in many, like many other areas of life, it depends. Now, I love share buybacks when a company uses its cash to buy its shares cheaply, when they're able to use a little bit of money to buy a lot of shares. That means that they're actually helping me as an investor by using that cash to reduce the number of shares so I get a bigger piece of the pie, a bigger bit of the profit.
For sure.
But what I don't love is when companies use their cash to buy shares at really expensive prices, because what it means is they're not getting as much bang for their buck. And I, as an investor, I'm not getting as much bang for their buck. So thinking about what's happened recently, companies were buying back shares hand over fist all through 2018, 2019, the beginning of 2020, when shares were, at very high prices. And then, Jonathan, they actually stopped when shares started moving lower. That drives me absolutely nuts, because when shares move lower, that's when you want to ramp up purchase programs. That's when you want your companies to be spending their money to buy shares back at a lower price. So I'm a little frustrated with kind of the timing of these plays, but I do think that share buybacks have a place when it comes to investing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, and what do you look at in terms of what makes a share buyback good or bad?
The big question is why, right? So you talked about the what. What price are stocks being bought back at? That's a big one. For me, it's why. If a company is buying back shares simply for the purpose of inflating earnings per share or other valuation metrics, that's bad.
Okay.
Or if they're spending money, that could go to growth on just buying back shares. Again, usually to inflate earnings per share, that's not good. However, companies are doing it responsibly. Companies that are going in and saying, okay, we're generating growth. We've got some extra cash, and instead of parking it in a savings account, let's buy back some of our stock. Let's buy back some of our debt. I'm a person that hates debt, so any opportunity to take it off the table, I'm going to do it. And I think a lot of companies are doing that. The companies that are not doing that well, we're seeing them being punished, in my view, like they should.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And like you said, it's kind of a company specific decision. And there's also the issue of opportunity cost. So what am I doing with the cash that I have on my balance sheet? What could I be doing with the cash on my balance sheet? So if there are opportunities for companies to invest in hiring new people, hiring great programmers that'll build better software, buying a new factory so that they can improve and increase productivity, I'd much rather them use their cash for something like that than for buying back shares. And the other thing that I think is important is to look at the actual financial position of the company. Do they have enough cash? We're not wanting any company to be irresponsible with their cash to buy back shares. And that's something that we cover at Rich Retirement Letter, always looking at these situations and kind of filling you in on what our favorite companies are doing with their cash, whether that's wise or not, and alerting you to any risks that come up. So another great topic. I'm Zach Scheidt for Rich Retirement TV. This is J-Rod, our head of research, and thanks for joining us.
See you next time.